tell the world that we have entered into an arrangement, to tell Venezuela that we have entered into an arrangement, to tell Guyana and to tell Caricom that this picture is representative of an action that we've taken with the head of Southcom, Admiral Halsey, and it's about us creating an environment where the United States can place troops in Trinidad and Tobago to respond to instability in Venezuela. Whoever did this is not acting in the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And let me tell you why. I am so disturbed about this. You would recall, not too long ago, there was a situation where the United States government led arguments, OAS and the European Union, about regime change in Venezuela. And it got very heated, and it got to the point where people were expecting physical action. The European Union had given Maduro 8 days to leave office. The Canadians had said to us in Caricom, time for talk over. And our question was, time for what now? And of course, the United States had its view on Venezuela. And the details, you carried it in your media, you know all about it. How did Trinidad and Tobago react to that situation? Trinidad and Tobago, as a leader in CARICOM, on that matter, took a leadership role to preserve the Caribbean as a zone of peace. And we headed to New York. The Prime Minister of Barbados and myself, we went to the office of the Secretary General of the United Nations to take a different position on the Venezuelan issue. We didn't stop there. We, again, Trinidad and Tobago, and this time the larger CARICOM, we went to Uruguay and took part in generating the Montevideo Accord, which was meant to prevent any instance of the breach of the peace in the Caribbean, supported by Mexico and Norway. All along, Trinidad and Tobago had a leadership role in that matter. And every stage of the game, you all in the media knew what your country's position was. You knew what the dangers were. You knew what we were fighting off. You know what the successes were and what the failures were. I made my first visit to the UN General Assembly and spoke of Trinidad and Tobago's position on this matter. So the media in Trinidad and Tobago, you know our position. Why then would you convert that firm stand of your country to create a situation? What has changed to cause Trinidad and Tobago to be a platform for foreign troops on its territory in response to a Venezuelan situation? When in fact, only days ago, the Trinidad and Tobago minister in the office of the Prime Minister was in Caracas, talking to the Venezuelan leadership, as we talk to them all the time, and the Americans and others, because I was in Barbados talking to the American leadership. And CARICOM, as a unit, we cover and protect ourselves by standing on the defense of CARICOM. Caribbean is a zone of peace, and we are not supporting anybody's military excursion. What exactly happened in Trinidad and Tobago in the last 48 hours? This picture has nothing to do with any Venezuelan issue. This has everything to do with the relationship between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States, which is a very good one. And of course, the conversations that we've had, if you listen, and in fact, the very paper that carries this story, carries the details of what was said by Admiral Halsey about the issues that brought him here and the issues that were discussed and the commitment to cooperate with Trinidad and Tobago on matters, not the least of which is national security. That's what it's about. The local press cannot pretend not to know that our security agencies rely very heavily on the cooperation that they have with the United States. Many instances, the actions that we take here, or actions that are taken in our interest outside our border in the region, has to do with information or physical assets of foreign countries, not the least of which is the United States, helping us to protect ourselves because we don't have the ability to have as many assets out there or to have the intelligence as to who is going to harm us. And you read in the story what Admiral Halsey has said, as far as to talk about criminal elements coming from South America and threatening us now. I mentioned that from this podium recently. You would have seen during the COVID period, when the rest of the nation didn't have vaccines, among the first vaccines we got were some that came from a United States military agency to our defense force because of the relationship between them. In the last few years, the United States has put over $9 million in grants into the security services of Trinidad and Tobago. We have an ongoing relationship of training and sharing of information with the United States. And none of this is secret. None of it is secret. It's all about the relationship between two friendly countries, one with a lot of resources and one that needs the help. So where did you get it from that we are in a position to make Trinidad and Tobago available to the United States for troops against Venezuela? This is a serious matter. If a country is making its territory available for another country to stage military action against them, that is a serious matter. And if I don't come here today and as Prime Minister denounce this irresponsibility, if you were in Venezuela, what would you think? What would you think? And if you are in Venezuela where Trinidad and Tobago are negotiating with you on all kinds of important matters, but making its territory available for American incursions in the event that it is determined that Venezuela has instability, what would you think? I know that there are people in this country, surprisingly to some of you, who would like our initiatives to bear no fruit and to come to naught, but this is going too far.